Welcome to the deep dive. You're joining us for a pretty amazing exploration, I think, of
Yeah.
Bill Bryson's A Short History of Nearly Everything.
A big one.
It's a big one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the title kind of says it all.
It does.
Um, and we're going to think of this deep dive as like your express ticket
Okay.
to some of the most mind-blowing stories the universe has to tell.
I like that.
From like the very, very
It's
beginning
the whole shebang.
to like right here, right now.
Yeah.
Our mission, if you want to call it that, is to really just pull out the key insights,
The good stuff.
the good stuff, the stuff that makes you go,
Oh, wow.
oh, wow,
Yeah.
and present it in a way that's not just informative,
Right.
but like actually captivating.
I think Bryson does a lot of that for us.
He does. I mean, he
A lot of the heavy lifting.
does a lot of the heavy
Not
work.
just
Yeah.
captivating.
Yeah.
He has this gift for taking these just colossal, literally colossal subjects, right?
Yeah.
The birth of the cosmos.
Right. The evolution of life
Mm-hmm.
and making them feel so immediate and relevant.
Yeah. And he's funny.
Oh, he is funny. Yeah, you'll be surprised, I think,
I think so.
by the sheer scale of what we actually do know about the universe.
Yeah.
And maybe even more intrigued by the
Yeah.
vastness
Yeah.
of what we still don't.
Of what we don't.
So just to kind of get you thinking on that grand scale,
Okay.
let me just throw this out there.
Okay.
The first fossil bone in America
Oh.
that turned out to be from a dinosaur.
Oh.
Totally missed.
What?
Just sat there unnoticed.
Really?
Like years. It makes you wonder, right? Like
Yeah.
how many incredible discoveries
Yeah, like, are we just walking by him?
could be hiding in plain sight,
Yeah.
waiting for, us to like
Or like we think we know something,
shift our understanding.
and it's totally different.
Yeah.
That happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah. All the time.
In science.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like our current,
paradigm.
our current
Yep.
framework
Right.
of knowledge
Yeah.
sometimes limits what we can even recognize as something new.
Yeah. Or how about this?
Huh.
So,
I love these little facts, by the way.
I know they're so good, right?
Like little teasers.
Yeah. So for a while, there were some pretty wild, out there ideas
I bet.
about how you would even attempt
Oh,
to weigh the Earth.
like the whole Earth.
The whole thing.
Right.
Like, how would you even approach that?
Yeah.
And we'll get into some of those wonderfully creative, if ultimately inaccurate,
Okay.
early efforts a bit later.
Okay.
But,
What were they thinking?
right. Like,
Yep.
what were they thinking?
Yeah.
But they underscore, I think, a really fundamental human characteristic,
Which is
this deep-seated desire to
Wow.
understand and quantify our world.
put a number on it.
Yeah.
We want to measure everything.
Even when we totally lack the tools.
Right. Like back in the day.
Right. But it's that initial spark of
Yeah.
curiosity and the drive to figure things out.
Yeah. Like how much does the Earth weigh?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's that thread
It is
that runs through
through the whole book.
Bryson's whole book.
Yeah.
And he just masterfully connects
He's good at that.
these seemingly separate fields.
Yeah.
I mean, from the tiniest particles
Quite.
to the largest galaxies,
The whole spectrum.
from like the formation of rocks
Okay.
to the evolution of life.
I mean, how do you do that?
Right.
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
It is amazing. And his point, I think his underlying point is that to really grasp our place in the universe,
Yeah.
you have to appreciate its epic history.
Yeah.
So let's jump in at the very beginning,
Okay.
the Big Bang.
The Big Bang. All right. So imagine, if you will,
Nothingness.
nothingness.
Yeah.
Like no matter,
What?
no energy, no space,
Yeah.
not even time as we understand it.
Yeah. It's impossible.
It's impossible to imagine.
to even imagine.
And then- In an unfathomably small fraction of a second, the Big Bang happens. Boom.
Right.
Right. And suddenly, all this energy,
Oh my gosh.
unimaginable amounts of energy, fundamental particles.
Flooding into existence.
Yeah. It's just like how?
It's just like how?
It's a concept that, really stretches our minds.
Yeah. And here's something that makes it even more astonishing.
Okay.
The initial conditions
Oh.
right after the Big Bang
Okay.
had to be extraordinarily precise.
Yeah.
Like, if fundamental constants, things that we're learning about now,
Right.
like the strength of gravity
Right.
or the rate at which the universe expanded,
Okay.
if those had been even slightly
Yeah.
different,
A little bit.
just infinitesimally different,
Yeah.
the cosmos as we know it
Yeah.
with stars and galaxies and
Yeah.
life might never have formed.
Well, we're lucky.
We're lucky. Talk about a delicate starting point.
Yeah. Talk about a delicate starting point.
It really does raise these profound questions, doesn't it?
Huge question.
Yeah, like why were the initial conditions just right?
Right.
That's one of those mysteries that continues to drive
Cosmologists.
cosmological research.
Yeah.
And speaking of how we even know about
Oh.
this cataclysmic beginning,
Okay.
Bryson tells this fantastic story
Oh, I love this story.
about the discovery
Okay.
of cosmic microwave background radiation.
Okay.
So these two scientists are
Okay.
working on their radio antenna,
Okay.
and they're getting this persistent background noise. They're like,
what is that?
what is that?
Yeah.
And their initial thought
This is so funny.
is that pigeon droppings are
Oh.
interfering with their equipment.
No.
I know.
That's right.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
It turns out that that faint, ubiquitous hiss
Okay.
is actually the afterglow of the Big Bang,
No way.
the oldest light in the universe,
Wow.
still echoing across space and time.
That is amazing.
I know.
That's just mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing.
So, like, what we think is just noise is actually like this echo from the beginning of the universe.
It's a beautiful example of
Yeah.
how scientific discovery can sometimes arise from the most unexpected places.
Yeah.
A nuisance
Yeah.
turned into a Nobel Prize-winning piece of evidence
Wow.
for the origin of everything.
That's a great story.
It is a great story. I mean,
Who would have thought pigeon poop?
who would have thought?
Yeah.
And it just makes you wonder, right?
Right.
What other fundamental secrets
Yeah. What do we
might
think?
be lurking
Right.
in what we currently dismiss
Yeah.
as just noise?
Noise.
Yeah. It really highlights that serendipitous nature of science, right?
Yeah.
This ongoing process
Of looking and listening.
of observation, of interpretation,
Yeah.
and sometimes accidental breakthroughs.
Yeah. Being in the right place at the right time.
Totally.
Yeah.
So from this understanding of the Big Bang,
Okay.
Bryson guides us to contemplate
Okay.
the sheer scale
Bit big.
of the universe and how overwhelmingly vast and, frankly, empty space truly is.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly nothing.
Mostly nothing. Forget those neat little diagrams
Yeah.
you might have seen in textbooks where
Wisdom.
the planets are all lined up like
Yeah.
beads on a string.
Like our solar system
Right.
is all neat and tidy.
Yeah, neat and tidy.
It's not like that at all.
It's not like that at all. The reality is that
Wait.
the distances between celestial bodies
Yeah.
are almost incomprehensibly large.
Yeah.
So if you were to shrink the sun down to the size of a grapefruit,
Okay.
the nearest star would be thousands of miles away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
it's a good one, right?
That is a good one. I'm going to use that. I'm
Yeah.
going to steal that.
So space is mostly nothing.
Yeah. Which leads to the question.
Oh, yeah.
So in a
Yeah.
universe that size
Yes.
and age,
Yeah.
what are the odds
Yeah.
that we're the only ones here?
Right.
Right. I mean, come on.
It just seems statistically improbable.
Yeah.
And this is where the famous Drake equation comes into play.
Okay. The Drake equation.
Yeah.
What is that?
So it's this really intriguing formula
Huh.
that attempts to estimate the number
Right.
of potentially communicative extraterrestrial civilizations
That's good.
in our galaxy.
Oh, wow.
So it takes into account things like the rate of star formation,
Okay.
the percentage of stars with planets,
Yeah.
the number of potentially habitable planets per star.
Okay. So we're getting some numbers on that now.
We're getting some numbers,
Yeah.
but then there are the really big unknowns,
Yeah.
like the likelihood of life actually evolving
Right.
on those planets,
And then what?
and then developing intelligence,
Okay.
and then the capacity for interstellar communication.
Okay.
So even when you plug in what might seem like
Yeah.
relatively optimistic estimates for
Yeah.
some of these variables,
Right.
the Drake equation,
Often suggests that there should be a significant number
Right.
of other civilizations out there.
right,
And yet, crickets, we haven't found any definitive evidence
yeah,
of their existence.
and that's the Fermi paradox. So if the universe is so ancient
Yeah.
and so incredibly vast,
And it is.
and if the conditions for life
Yeah.
to emerge might not be all that uncommon,
Then where is everybody?
where is everybody? Why haven't we detected any signals or
Mhm.
encountered any other intelligent life forms?
That is so weird.
It's a really thought-provoking question, isn't it?
It is. It is.
That underscores the limitations of
Yeah.
our current understanding
That's
and
it.
the sheer mystery surrounding our place
In the cosmos.
in the cosmos.
Yeah. So we've got really big.
We've gotten really big.
Now let's go home.
Let's go home. Let's bring our focus
Nah.
a little closer to home and consider the formation of our own planet.
All right. Our little planet?
Our little planet. Bryson paints this really vivid picture
Okay, I like vivid pictures.
of early Earth.
Okay.
This chaotic, fiery,
Yeah.
molten ball.
Not a good place to visit.
Not a good place to visit. Relentlessly bombarded by asteroids and comets.
Wow. So this is like
Yeah, this is like
billions of years ago.
billions of years ago. Definitely not a welcoming environment.
Not a day.
Anything resembling life as we know it.
Okay. So how did life emerge from that?
Right. It's almost impossible to imagine
Yeah.
any kind of biological process getting started in
Yeah.
that kind of violent, high-energy environment.
Hard to imagine.
It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
But against all odds,
Against all.
life did eventually emerge.
Wow.
And as Bryson highlights, the formation of our moon
Okay.
played a surprisingly crucial role
A moon.
in making Earth the relatively stable and habitable world it is today.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So the prevailing scientific theory is that billions of years ago,
Okay.
in the early days of our solar system,
Okay.
a Mars-sized object
Okay.
collided with the young Earth.
Whoa.
Talk about a cosmic collision.
Yeah. Talk about a bad day.
With serious consequences.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the force of that impact
Oh, my God.
must have been unimaginable.
Unimaginable.
Yeah.
So what happened? What happened then?
So the debris ejected from that collision eventually coalesced
Okay.
under the influence of gravity to
Right.
form our moon.
So the moon is like
Yes.
leftover
debris.
from this impact.
Exactly.
Wow. That's amazing.
I know, right? And it wasn't just a spectacular light show in the
Right.
early solar system.
Okay.
So the moon's presence has had this profound and long-lasting influence.
Okay. Like what?
So its gravitational pull helps to stabilize Earth's axial tilt.
Okay. Axial tilt.
So axial tilt is the angle at which our planet is inclined
Okay.
relative to its orbit around the sun.
So like how much we're tilted.
Yeah, how much we're tilted.
Okay.
And without the moon's stabilizing influence,
Oh.
Earth's tilt could vary wildly over time,
Oh.
leading to drastic and unpredictable changes
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
in our climate.
No. No.
We might not have the relatively regular seasons that are
Mhm.
so fundamental for agriculture
Right. And everything else.
and pretty much everything else
Yeah.
that sustains complex life as we know it.
Oh, wow.
It's remarkable.
So the moon is
Yeah.
responsible.
This violent, seemingly random event in the
Yeah.
early solar system
Yeah.
turned out to be absolutely essential
For life
for the development of life on Earth.
on Earth.
It makes you appreciate those intricate
Totally.
and often unexpected connections, right?
Yeah.
Within our cosmic neighborhood.
Yeah. You never
Then
kind
what's going to matter? Yeah. It's a beautiful example of how seemingly disparate events
Right.
can have these far-reaching consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before we had all these sophisticated instruments
Yeah.
and these detailed scientific models,
Right.
how did early thinkers even begin to try and understand the Earth?
I mean, like its size, its age, its history.
Yeah.
How do you even begin to wrap your head around that?
Right. Bryson delves into some of those early attempts.
Okay.
And they are quite revealing.
I bet.
So imagine trying to estimate the circumference of the Earth
Okay.
by literally pacing out distances.
Oh, my God.
Right. Or attempting to determine the planet's age
Okay.
by meticulously counting
Counting what?
the generations mentioned
In Bible.
in biblical texts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They had a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah. From our modern perspective,
Yeah.
those efforts might seem
A little bit.
rather unsophisticated.
Unsophisticated.
Yeah.
But, you know, they were trying.
But they were trying. As Bryson points out, they were driven by that same fundamental human curiosity.
That same desire to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The desire to make sense of our world
Right.
using the tools and knowledge
Yeah.
available at the time.
Yeah. We got to give them credit for that.
You have to admire the ingenuity, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the sheer determination,
Yeah.
even if the methods were somewhat limited.
Yeah.
So every journey of discovery has to start somewhere.
Right.
And these early attempts, however rudimentary,
Yeah.
they were crucial first steps.
Okay. So how did we get from there to where we are now?
How did we get from there to where we are now? Well, individuals like Edmund Halley played a pivotal role.
Okay. Edmund Halley.
Yeah.
Tell me about Edmund Halley.
So he's this quintessential polymath,
Okay.
deeply involved in virtually every scientific pursuit of his era.
So like a Renaissance man.
Yeah, totally a Renaissance man.
Okay.
He designed diving bells.
Okay.
He meticulously mapped magnetic fields. He famously predicted the return of the comet that now bears his name.
Halley's Comet.
Halley's Comet.
Good
And
ass.
perhaps most significantly, he was instrumental in supporting and facilitating Isaac Newton's publication
Okay.
of his groundbreaking work on gravity.
Wow. So he was like a facilitator as well as a
Yeah,
scientist.
totally.
Wow.
A remarkable individual,
Yeah.
embodying that spirit of broad intellectual curiosity.
Yeah. He wanted to know everything.
Yeah, he wanted to know
Yeah.
everything. And a deep commitment
To science.
to scientific investigation.
Well,
And his contributions were just essential in laying the groundwork for
Yeah.
our contemporary understanding
Yeah.
of both the Earth and the cosmos.
that's amazing.
But even with the contributions of brilliant minds like Halley
Okay.
unraveling the Earth's history, particularly its immense age,
Right.
remained a significant challenge,
Okay.
right? So early estimates varied wildly,
Yeah.
and there was considerable debate
I bet.
about how to interpret
The geological evidence
Right.
that was gradually being uncovered.
So they knew it was old.
They knew it was old,
Yeah.
but they didn't know how
Measure it.
to measure it.
Yeah.
That's where James Hutton,
Okay.
often regarded as the father of modern geology, enters the narrative.
The father of geology.
He was among the first to truly grasp the immense time scale
Yeah.
of
Okay.
geological time, realizing that the Earth's history stretched back
Yeah.
not just thousands of years,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
potentially millions, even billions.
How did he figure that out?
So he was an incredibly astute observer
Okay.
of the natural world,
Okay.
and he spent countless hours studying rock formations,
Okay.
erosion patterns,
Wow.
and the slow, gradual processes
Right.
that continuously reshape the Earth's surface.
So he's looking at mountains.
He's looking at mountains, he's looking at valleys,
Ah.
and he's thinking,
This must have taken a long time.
this must have taken a really long time.
Yeah. Right. For these seemingly subtle processes to
Mhm.
have sculpted the landscapes we see today,
Mhm.
vast man ranges, deep valleys, they must have been operating over unimaginably long periods,
Right.
exceeding any previously conceived time frame.
Wow.
It was a profound paradigm shift, wasn't it?
I think it was. It
To
was.
look at a landscape
Yeah.
and recognize that it wasn't the result of
Mhm.
sudden catastrophic events alone,
Right.
but rather the
These
accumulation
tiny little changes.
of countless small changes
Yeah.
over vast stretches of time.
Wow. It's a completely different way of looking at the planet.
Totally different.
Yeah.
But as Bryson points out with his characteristic wit,
I love his wit.
I know,
Yeah.
Hutton was not exactly known for his clear and engaging writing style.
Oh.
His prose was apparently quite dense and difficult to follow.
So he had trouble communicating these ideas.
Yeah, like groundbreaking ideas.
Yeah.
But locked away in this, like dense academic jargon.
Oh, no. So how did people understand him?
Well, fortunately, Hutton had a friend and colleague
Okay.
named John Playfair
Okay.
who possessed this remarkable talent for
Sure.
communication.
Oh, good.
So Playfair essentially took Hutton's complex and often obscure work
Yeah.
and translated it
Into plain English.
into a clear, accessible, compelling narrative
Wow.
that other scientists could understand and appreciate.
So it's like he needed a translator.
He needed a translator,
Yeah.
yeah. And it just underscores the
Yeah.
vital role of effective science communication.
Yeah. You got to be able to explain it.
You got to be able to explain
Yeah.
it, even in the 18th century.
Right.
Right. A brilliant idea is only truly powerful
Yeah.
if it can be shared and understood.
Right.
And speaking of clearly articulating
Okay.
geological principles,
Okay.
Charles Lyell's influential work, Principles of Geology,
Okay.
built directly upon Hutton's foundational ideas.
Okay. So what did Lyell do?
So Lyell's book was instrumental in popularizing
Okay.
and solidifying the
Yeah.
concept of uniformitarianism.
Uniformitarianism.
It's a bit of a technical term,
It is.
but it's a cornerstone of modern geology.
Okay. So what is it?
So uniformitarianism
Yeah.
is the idea that the same geological processes
Okay.
that we observe shaping the Earth today.
Okay. Like what?
So things like erosion,
Right.
sedimentation,
Okay.
volcanic activity,
Oh, yeah.
earthquakes.
Yeah.
They've been operating in essentially the same way
Yeah.
at roughly the same rates
Oh.
for millions upon millions of years.
So what's happening today
Yeah.
happened back then.
The present is the key to understanding the past.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So by studying these ongoing processes,
Yeah.
we can gain insights into
Yeah.
Earth's ancient history.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this emerging understanding of Earth's vast timescale,
Yeah.
how did the discovery of dinosaurs fit into the picture?
Dinosaurs.
These colossal,
Huh.
long-extinct reptiles, they must have really challenged
I would think so.
prevailing ideas
Yeah.
about the history of life.
Totally.
So the realization
Yeah.
that such massive and bizarre creatures
Okay.
had once roamed the Earth
Yeah.
fundamentally altered our view
Yeah.
of life's history.
So, like, before that,
Yeah.
what did people think?
Well, for a long time, the prevailing understanding,
Yeah.
influenced by religious dogma,
Right.
was of a relatively young Earth,
Okay.
populated by creatures that had remained largely unchanged
Okay.
since creation.
Yeah.
The discovery of dinosaur fossils
Yeah.
was like, whoa, hold on a second.
Right.
This is evidence of a much deeper and more dynamic history of life,
Right.
with entire groups of organisms arising and then going extinct.
Yeah.
And incredibly, the very first dinosaur bone found in America went completely unrecognized for what it was.
You're kidding.
No.
Are you serious?
It's astonishing.
Wow.
Yeah. It just shows you that our scientific understanding evolves,
Right.
and that even groundbreaking discoveries
Kitty missed?
can be initially overlooked
Yeah.
if they don't fit within our existing framework of knowledge.
Of what we think we know.
Yeah, it underscores the importance of keeping an open mind, right?
Right.
And being willing to revise our assumptions.
Don't get too attached to your ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of individuals who displayed that kind of dedication and
Yeah.
keen observational skills,
Okay.
Bryson tells this vivid story
Right.
of Mary Anning.
Mary Anning. Okay.
So she was this self-taught fossil hunter
Okay.
from a really humble background,
Right.
and she made some truly remarkable discoveries of marine reptile